letting as many people that we know who want to start a podcast know. But I wanted to reach out to you just in case you have not heard, in case you want to start a podcast to build your thought leadership, to build your authority, or maybe you know someone who wants to. So if you do, I'd love you to tag them, love for you to let them know. And if you join us, to certainly invite them as well. What I'm going to do is share the link below so that you can go and check it out and register. There is a booklet, an action guide that you will get access to. So it's got lots of different notes, lots of different things that we're going to be covering over the 5 days. But let me go ahead and share the link so that you can go and do that shortly. The reason that I am running this Profitable Podcasting 5-day intensive is because there are many people who are service-based business owners who are experts. They've got such wealth and depth of knowledge to share, and they want to make a bigger impact in the world whilst also elevate their reputation as that authority, as that thought leader. So they're looking to start a podcast in order to do that. And a podcast is a fantastic way to make a much bigger impact in the world whilst also build know, like, and trust with your ideal client. As we know, as business owners, there are different stages of a customer buyer's journey. There is awareness, there is the consideration stage, and then, of course, there is the decision stage. And if you create a podcast and share your insights and are really entering the conversation as your ideal client is searching, and you put to forward some great solutions for them, and you build know, like, and trust, truth sharing your core values and all of that good stuff, then of course when they're ready to make a decision, they're more likely to want to work with you. Now, there are a number of things that I'm going to be covering. If I think back to the very first time that I started podcasting, and you might have already heard me share this story, it was back in 2008. We did that for 2 years, a co-host and I, in the career industry. And we made such an impact in the lives of many, many people all over the world. 2008 was that year the global financial crisis hit. And there was so much doom and gloom being portrayed on all of the traditional media. And back then, radio and television and print were very, very much the ways that we were sharing our message as business owners. And of course, podcasting, a lot of digital media has now come to the fore. By the way, there's a lot of doom and gloom being shared across platforms as well. And one of the things that we learned was sometimes it's best to shut your ears off from all that negativity, because that can impact your psyche. So that's something I want to share with you for free. Anyway, this podcasting intensive is also for free, but here are the things that I want to share with you during the intensive. Go to that link, podcastingwithpurpose.com/intensive, and you can sign up there. You can download and print out the book. We start on Monday. It'll go for about 30 minutes to 45 minutes every single day. Obviously, Monday for Australia time. If you're in the US, it's going to be Sunday evening, either late afternoon or early evening, depending on where you are in the US. But we're going to talk about common podcasting myths and mistruths and mistakes. If you're a service-based business owner who wants to elevate your reputation, there are a number of things that you should be doing and a number of things you should not do on your podcast that'll help you really stand out, cut through the noise, position yourself as an industry thought leader or an authority in your field, especially if you want to leverage your podcast to be able to nurture listeners to leads and ultimately paying clients. One of the things that I'll be sharing and we'll be diving in a lot deeper into during the intensive is the fact that, so often as a podcast host, one of the things that you might do, and this is what I did too, and then to my detriment actually, was not having a strategy around the guests that I would interview. I love interviewing people, and I can dive deep into any conversation. Give me a word, give me a guest, and we'll create a storyline around that. But if you're positioning yourself as a thought leader and you've got such diverse topics on your podcast, if you don't have a theme, if you're not speaking consistently into the struggles that your ideal clients are looking for, or even complimentary, you can ask a guest to come on board, if they're offering a complimentary service that's relevant. But often we don't, and what I used to do, and I see this happening a lot with podcast hosts, they just invite anyone, and the conversation just goes all over the place, and it's not really creating a consistent theme, and you end up watering down your message. And so that's just one of the mistakes. And also too, how are you going to nurture those listeners into leads and paying clients? There's a strategy that I'm going to show and share with you that we implement with all of our clients as well. I want to share with you also during the intensive 3 podcast profit models, and that'll help you go from invisible to influential and profitable, so that you really become that go-to person. People will recommend you. You'll have a consistent reputation that's being portrayed across all of your podcasts. Very, very important. And those 3 podcast profit models is a formula, a framework, and a funnel that I've developed over the years, looking back to all of the mistakes and things that weren't working for me when I look back at my podcast, and what I implemented. And I teach that now with all of my clients, and I want to share what those are with you on next week's intensive. And then, of course, lastly, I want to share with you how you can start to nurture listeners into leads and ultimately paying clients with a tactic that we're teaching all of our clients. I want to share what that is with you as well. Now, everything that I'm teaching and sharing with you are things that I've implemented over the years, and continue to do so with all of my clients' podcasts and my own podcasts, and just some of the things that I've been able to achieve just through doing that. And so when you start to implement that too, when you launch your podcast, you'll be able to, I'm sure, achieve these kind of things as well. Back in 2017, I won the best podcast for marketing, entrepreneurs and business here in Australia. One of my podcasts has been syndicated a couple of seasons on a local radio station in Zimbabwe. Now, I'm based in Melbourne, Australia, and so one of my listeners listened and obviously was very inspired throughout a number of guests that we would have on the show, and subsequently ended up working for a local radio station that I think had about 40-something% market share. And he said, I just would love to share your message with my audience. He said, would that be possible? And we still touch base today. And so, that would never have been possible, I'm sure, if it weren't for the strategy that we implement, how we put our shows together, the content, the storyline, all of that. And another one of my podcasts is now syndicated on a local radio station here in Perth. And again, following strategies, which I'll share with you. My podcast, Ambitious Entrepreneur Show, is often listed in the top, has been listed in the top 5, the top 10, the top 20 business and entrepreneurial podcasts. A couple of years ago, one of the digital strategy agencies who are working with Microsoft Australia reached out and said, Microsoft Australia would love for you to become a Surface Pro ambassador. Would you be interested in it? And I thought it was a bit of a hoax at first, but no, they had found me through online, through social, and my digital footprint over the last 11 years really centers a lot on my podcasts. And so I'm confident that I would not have been found had it not been for the strategy that we have around podcasts. So if you are a professional service-based business and you want to elevate your message, if you want to be seen as that authority, if you want to make a much bigger impact in the world with your message, and you want to really position and leverage your podcast to be an integral part of your content development strategy and your monetization strategy, there are key things that you need to have in place, and there's key things that you need to avoid. It's very different than just grabbing a microphone and recording. One of the things that I say is, just because you can start a podcast doesn't mean you should, unless, of course, you've got clear message and clear strategies and the clarity around what I want to share during this intensive. So again, podcastingwithpurpose.com/intensive. Hope to see you there. Got lots that I want to share. And I'm a firm believer in all of the years that I've been in business that how you finish the year will determine how you start the year. So if you start to really get clear on the things that I'm going to be sharing next week, then you can make sure, start to put those into place so that you may be launching your very own podcast that positions you as that authority, that positions you as that thought leader, that nurtures people through the know, like, and trust, that nurtures people through each of the stages, the awareness stage, where they're aware that they've got a problem and they're looking for a solution. And all of a sudden they come across one of your podcasts. And the way you're structuring your podcast is nurturing them to want to find out more information. And on that call to action, you've provided such compelling content, and they're so intrigued that they want to find out more about your work. And so that call to action, they take that call to action. They're now on your list. And you continue to nurture them on through that list as they're considering working with you, as they're considering the information, as you're providing them insights and solutions. And that's the consideration stage. And then, of course, when you do that calls to action, that taking that next step for that small amount of people who are your ideal clients and they're ready to make that decision to work with you, when you do that call to action and that invitation that they're going to say yes, they want to work with you, that's what you can really achieve when you get the right, when you get the right formula, the right framework, and the right funnel in place. And that's what I want to teach you next week. So podcastingwithpurpose.com/intensive, going to be a lot of fun. Now, maybe you're not ready yet for a podcast, but you know a colleague that has certainly been talking about launching a podcast, and they don't want to be like some of the guests that I have interviewed over the years. Where one guest said that they got to about episode 200 plus, and they finally decided they knew what they wanted to do, and they got the clarity on how they were going to leverage their podcast. In business, we've only got a limited amount of time, haven't we? So whatever we put our attention focus on, we want to make sure that we set it up to generate the best results possible. And that's what I want to share with you to fast track that for you, so that every single episode speaks your thought leader brand. Every single episode is so compelling. Every single episode is so valuable that people will share it. You'll start to create and build a community of people who know, like, and love you, who trust you, and who regularly refer to you, share your podcast episodes, and want to know more, especially when you do that invitation, when you might launch a new program or a product. They're there hanging on your every word. I mean, let's face it, I know I'm a consumer and I listen to podcasts. How many books have I gone and purchased after listening to a podcast? Because maybe a host has recommended, you need to get so-and-so's book. Or I listen to a guest who's just written a book and who really provides information in such a way that I know I need to get access to that book. And here I am off to Kindle, and that book is in my, on my iPad, like minutes later. I mean, how cool is that? And so when you set up your podcast to be able to do that, you can start monetizing your podcast, generating clients right from your very first episode. In fact, episode 0 is very important. So hope to share more. By the way, I was going to say, if you are coming to the live intensive, maybe find a colleague or a trusted friend or associate who you know is going to find the content valuable as well, and invite them along. Because one of the things that I know to be true is whenever I'm learning something new, if I have an accountability partner there with me and I know that I have committed and I have verbally or even emailed that person and said, look, this is what I'm going to work on so that by the end of this date, this is what's going to have in place, then I'm going to do that, because I know that I'm not going to show up at that time and go, oh, no, I didn't do it. And so, if you really want to work through this intensive and you want to make sure that you really are getting clear, taking notes, you're thinking about it and you're really structuring it, and you want to have that accountability partner, invite that colleague along with you to join in with you, and then together you can work together. So again, that accountability partner, so tag them as well. Anyway, can't wait to share more, and I will see you next week. So Sunday evening, afternoon will be for the US, and Monday it will be for people in Australia, Monday to Friday, with a bonus on Saturday. And the link, podcastingwithpurpose.com intensive. Have an awesome weekend. It's 4:45 p.m. Friday afternoon here in Australia. And so just winding down and thought, hey, I'll just reach out to all of my community here too and share because I don't want you to miss out. All right. See you then. Bye for now.